Welcome back to another episode of the Epoch podcast. This is episode 17. I'm your host, PerryThePig. With me, as always, is my co-host here,
Dread from Epic Builds. And today, of course, like every week, we got another spicy one for you. So we are going to be continuing the trend of making tier lists until, of course, we eventually get last Epoch multiplayer news. And this week's is going to be spells that actually do damage. So we have one planned in the future that will be utility stuff. So that's why I have not included stuff like Volatile Reversal. Now for rules this time around, because people got angry that we didn't have rules, this time we're going to rate the spell skills that actually do damage by how much damage they do and how good they are at dealing their damage. Okay? Now, this means that they usually are main damage skill material most of the time. And you will see eventually that I've included certain skills like Judgement onto the list. And that is because last week we said that we weren't going to, of course, tier list Judgement as a spell skill because the Consecrated Aura. We're going to rate it as a melee skill. So we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to talk about spells that are inside other spells, quote unquote, like, of course, Holy Trail and stuff like that. So
there's some things that we already talked about. We said this was like a notable omission. Things like we're not going to talk about Spriggan form, even though it has like what's it called, Spirit Thorns inside of it, right?
Yeah, like Spirit Thorns. Yeah, that's what it's called.
So it's a good skill. I like it. I would willingly play it, but we're going to leave that off this list. Because there's a lot
that has its own entire podcast episode dedicated for it. We couldn't talk about the transforms in a decent.
It's kind of funny. Like we started talking about wanting to do another tier list episode because the first one, people on Twitch liked it, people on YouTube liked it. But it's like, what are we gonna do for spells? Like, are we doing only damaging spells? Are we judging things that how high is their damage? Are we doing utility? Are we doing buffs? Are we doing attacks that proc spells? Are we doing weapons that proc spells? It's not quite as clear cut as you think it is. It's funny like that.
Yeah, we're going by common sense here. That's what the rules are going to be. And yes, we are going to be rating these for their best version possible. We've decided that that's the best course of action because if we were sitting here talking about every single version of like probably Death Seal or Earthquake or Smite, we would be here for ages. So we're going to go by whatever's the best.
All right, so like we did last time, what kind of spells? What are the attributes of the skills that are going to be in S tier? Like, are these like the spells that can push highest in the arena? What does this mean?
Spells that either do a lot of damage, do a lot of damage in an area, or feel good to play. That's
feel good to play.
What's up there. Yeah.
Does boss killing factor into this? Like like sub 10 seconds Jura or something, or what?
Pretty much stuff like that. Just damage, how big of an area it deals that damage, and how good it feels to deal said damage, I think is like the best way of going about it. Like, I can't really think of anything better.
Yeah. Let's start with a nice easy spell.
Oh, and then... wait.
Oh, go ahead.
We gotta talk about the rogue spell skills. Okay, you can continue.
The rogue, all 0 of them. Man, I remember when I was a new last Epoch player, I was like, Bleeding Heart bleeds you whenever you. And someone was like, oh my god, Bleeding Heart, you can only use that on a rogue because a rogue has no spells. And I was like, okay, Bleeding Heart rogue, Bleeding Heart rogue, Bleeding Heart. It's like perfect. In reality, Bleeding Heart every single build, Bleeding Heart every single build. It's like, well, putting one stag of bleed on you really isn't the biggest deal. In any case, let's start out with something easy so that we can kind of get our bearings, okay? Lightning Blast. Let's drag this skill up here.
You might as well just put it at the top. We all know Lightning Blast is good.
Lightning Blast is great. So Lightning Blast, it used to be an AoE skill. You can use it for AoE, but it's really a single target skill these days.
Yeah, after every single nerf it's gone under, it could have been an AoE skill, and now it's not really an AoE skill. It's all single
Mm-hmm.
target. I don't know why that happened. I'm not entirely sure, but it is definitely one of the best premier single target spell skills in the entire game. So it
Mm.
definitely deserves where it is. It
Getting
got
getting the
nerfed a
chains,
bunch.
getting all the chains to the same target is just so good.
Yeah, and then of course the
Mm.
quadra-casts, how it scales the cast speed, how it you can get a
How it
lot of lightning
feels,
damage.
I don't know.
Yeah,
How
how
it
it
auto
feels.
targets, like it's a good
Yeah.
skill.
Yeah, overall it is a really good skill, and the developers' attempts at removing it from the metagame has been not working, as it is
Listen,
still
I
one of the
think
best spell
I
skills still.
whenever I think about Lightning Blast, I still think about Enki's Arc Witch, like the premier
Mm-hmm.
guide for like 10 years in Path of Exile. And people look at Last Epoch, they're new players, they just came in, they're like, oh, I like playing Enki's Arc Witch. What can I play here? And like for a long time, you could play Lightning Blast, and like that was pretty good. But like these days, like you
Yeah, you
could
can't
play
play
a different
Lightning
skill.
Blast chained anymore.
Yeah.
It used to be good. You used to be able to do enough damage with it. But what happened was, while they were trying to nerf the one version, what's the node called? The
Focal?
conversion. No, not Focal Blast. It's the other one. The one that makes it all chain on the same target. It's been forever.
I thought that was Focal, but whatever. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that one. In their attempts to nerf that version, the single target, they have essentially made the chain version feel really bad and really
Uh
poor to play.
let's
So,
talk about another mage skill as long as we're kind of on the topic here. Let's talk
yeah, of
about
course.
how about static orb?
Static.
How
You're
about
just
how
gonna
about the
put
new lightning blast? Where does this one belong?
uh Convergence. Thank you, Sonoka. That one is right. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna put it above Lightning Blast
Me
now.
too. Yeah, it's
Yeah, like
it's
it's to
really
that point. And it was even higher on this list. Like before the orbit nerfs, we would have probably made a static orb tier
mm-hmm.
right
Static
above that.
static orb was it was like garbage. Why would you ever cast this? And then they reworked it, and it was like the most fun skill. And then they removed the orbit, which was kind of weird. I don't like how they removed the orbit. I feel like that was a miss in terms of nerfs.
Yeah, I believe the reasoning behind that, if I am not misremembering this, it is because it was too good at clearing. Like it was essentially like too easy, right? It was like I don't know like a better word for
I
this.
yeah,
It's
I
just
remember when they nerfed it, they said like it was too automatic. Like you cast it once and then
yeah.
you walk through the map and then you build movement
It
speed
was
and clears
essentially
everything for
like a
you.
better version of Blade Vortex,
Yeah,
essentially.
but it reminds me of like, hammered in, like the Smite
Mm-hmm.
hammered in spiral hammer
Yeah.
thing. It reminds me of devouring orb. Like there's a lot of other skills that are offensive in a similar way, and it makes me feel like those things are going to probably be nerfed in the future. So we'll see
Yeah.
how it all turns out.
But yeah, Static Orb, in terms of clear, it's got great clear, and you can make a good single target, but most of the time you end up just using Lightning Blast anyways, because why not?
And like
The
there's some
dot
synergy there.
version.
I want to point out one more thing before we continue on to the next skill.
Mm-hmm.
Both skills so far are lightning skills. They get to benefit from shock, and they get a shred blessing from Lagan that
Mm-hmm.
has a very low opportunity cost. The fact that the Lagan blessing, what's it called? Like ending the storm is the name of that
Yeah,
monolith.
ending the storm.
That ending the storm monolith, it has like lightning res, and then it has
Mana
super mediocre, 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 mediocre lightning shred.
and
So if
health
you're a
regen, but
lightning
that's
build, you get a
only
really good
important.
blessing. And if you're not a lightning build,
Yeah,
you get kind of mediocre blessings.
yeah. And yeah, it is getting nerfed because of the shred and shock changes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still an extra thing above all the other ailments.
Yep.
So it's still going to be insanely strong,
It's
even with the
kind of
blanket
interesting.
nerf.
All right, I want to sneak in one more mage skill before we even consider moving somewhere else.
Of
When I
course.
was a new Last Epoch player, everybody was like, "You gotta play Nova Boy. You gotta play Elemental Nova." How is channeled Lightning Nova these days? How's that?
There was a bug that was making it deal a lot more damage. There was I can't remember exactly what it was now. And there was also a bug that was giving it way more crit as well. And those were nerfed finally. but channeled directional, like channeled, like targetable lightning nova is still really strong. I talked with Foe, the person who actually plays all these skills, and in his opinion, Elemental Nova is still better than Static Orb technically in terms of arena. But in terms of like monolith farming and all that, Static Orb is definitely king. So I would put it, in my opinion, I would put it right after Lightning Blast.
I'm okay having it in S tier as well. It's not like a particularly popular skill. I think people have kind of been there, done that.
Yeah, we're talking about the channeled lightning version.
Yeah.
Every other version is actual garbage.
Like
but that version
C, D,
is
yeah,
S tier. Yeah, that version is instantly S tier. As soon as you make it lightning, as soon as you make it channeling, as soon as you get the helmet, so you can target
weird,
it.
Weird lightning damage thing going on here. All right, let's choose a skill that isn't lightning damage. What do you want to do next? You tell me.
I'm gonna choose a spicy one. Let's talk about upheaval.
Upheaval. Wait, let's see. Where is it? All right, so upheaval is one of those weird skills where it's a melee attack, but we chose to put it on this list anyways because it has a spell that it can proc. So tell me about that.
So, upheaval has a sub skill inside of it that essentially turns it into a spell skill. I'm pulling it up so I know the node. It is called Rejuvenating Splinters, and the related ability is technically called Shatter Totem. Now, what it does is it makes it so if upheaval or shockwaves hits a totem, it will deal damage in an explosion. It deals spell physical. So, for instance, Armor Shred is 100% effective with it instead of just less effective like other skills, a lot of other spells. It is a physical spell. And it is like really, really strong because it deals a lot of damage. And of course, it heals you for a bunch too, as long as you're stacking attunement. And normal version, where you just do it in human form, that is strong. And you can also do it in werebear form too.
Yeah, proccing the totems as well.
Very strong.
I see somebody in Twitch chat live here mentioning the Shatter node on the far left side of the upheaval tree. First of all, I didn't even know that existed. Second of all, it's very bad. The Shatter node on the far left is only on kill, and it doesn't deal nearly as much damage as what this is. So, like in the interest of time, we're trying to talk about like the best version of these skills, not every possible weird.
For reference, it has a 60 flat base damage, and it says here in the tooltip that is 200% added damage effectiveness. But in the actual data mined thing, it says 300%. I don't know what's going on there, and I'm not entirely sure when I say this, but I think the more damage nodes work for it, and the base crit works for it as well. But I could be wrong there. But either way, it definitely deals enough damage to be put on this list. It is definitely a competitive skill.
So you played this build, and I have not. Where does this thing belong? Is it B? Is it A?
I would say B. It's still a melee skill. You still have to summon the totems. It's still annoying, but the damage is so strong, it almost makes it worth it.
God, maybe I should try that out, huh? All right, let's do a skill that you and I have both played, okay? How about... Man, what's a skill that you and I both played? How about...
Most of these on this list, to be honest.
That's a lot of skills here. What about sticking with Mage, like the first 3 skills up there? What about Fireball?
Oh, Fireball.
We're talking about crit Fireball, right? No. Like much better than Ignite.
If we didn't have that rule where we weren't talking about the best version of the skill, oh, Fireball. So when we talk about Fireball, we're going to talk about essentially the only version of Fireball. You want to explain that, Perry?
Yeah, sure. We have stacking projectiles. We have sequence Fireball. We have homing Fireball. We have adding the lightning tag. And then we have the little fire explosion after it gets hit 4 times. That is the one fire build or Fireball build that exists.
Essentially, every other Fireball build I've ever seen ever that is not following the same idea is a complete troll. It is that bad. Like, it's so weird that such a very specific combination of skill tree stuff equals to such a good skill, but if you just touch anything else, it's garbage. And
Like
it's
there's channeling nodes for fireball. There's, you know, shooting out multiple fireballs at the same time. There's all this stuff you can do with it. They just don't actually exist if you're trying to play the best version of fireball, which is unfortunate.
yeah, it is very unfortunate.
So okay, how's this skill? I think that if fireball were like the top tier of damage in the game, that'd be pretty good for last epoch. Like it does fair damage. It's good. It's not busted. I would put it A tier.
Yeah, I would too. It's like good and it's good. It's just like I said, it's hampered by the fact that it's skill tree, but like the version that's good is good. So it definitely deserves A tier in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
A tier in your opinion. How about I wonder if I can find another A tier skill. What about
I mean, I can bring one up if you want.
You wanna choose something that you think is an A tier?
Yeah, Earthquake.
You think Earthquake is an A tier
Earthquake.
spell?
Yeah, if we're going to compare it to the other skills on this list, yeah. So if you don't know, Earthquake has a node inside of it that allows it to be turned into a spell lightning skill. Now, it functions exactly like how normal Earthquake works, where you smack the ground, it costs a bunch of mana, yada, 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 but it turns all of its damage scaling to spell scaling. It works off cast speed, it works off spell crit, and it is insanely strong, and that's mainly because of the fact that it's a lightning skill, for reference. Now, the reason why I'm putting an A and I'm putting an S is because of the fact it is essentially a melee skill in a range skill world, right? So I would not put it above Fireball at all.
Yeah, I kind of want to. It has serious mana problems.
Yeah, but that's not a problem when you deal all the damage in the world.
Like Earthquake by itself, like whether you're talking about the spell version and melee damage, the Earthquake skill tree, it feels like every node of the skill tree is a more multiplier. It's huge damage.
It has enough damage to merit the actual amount of mana it consumes.
So. That's a good observation. Yeah, there you go.
Like if EHG is listening, if they're listening right now, and they want to see what it takes to make the spender like mana generator thing to work, Earthquake is the perfect skill for that because it actually feels worth its mana cost.
It's a lot of mana, and it's probably the only build in the game that would make me willing to use Tempest Strike to recover mana.
Yeah,
because it's
now you can just use the Sprig and Form stuff if you're
you can
UQ.
So you think under Fireball?
Yeah, under Fireball, because Fireball's ranged. I'm sorry, man. Fireball's ranged.
Wow. Okay.
I don't care what you say. Fireball's ranged. Just
Fireball's
being
ranged
is very OP. Who would have thought?
Well, it's definitely
you don't have to sit right next to that Diamond Matron.
Yeah, but you blow it up. You deal so much damage.
Well, yeah, but you gotta stand near it and in arena and high.
Sometimes the Diamond Matron has a proximity bubble, and you gotta jump on top of it.
Well, at that point, but then in every other situation,
all right.
have a range skill.
How about another melee feeling spell? What about something that isn't lightning damage? How do you feel about Glacier?
Glacier?
Yeah, what's going on with this thing these days?
Fall from grace.
So
Glacier.
are we talking about Frostbite? Are we talking about Doom? Are we talking about Crit?
Doom?
What?
No, no. What are you talking about? No,
what's the Glacier version that we think is the best?
I think the best version of Glacier right now is some sort of crit Glacier. I would not say targeted Glacier is good anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong.
What about the mana gained on kill, mana gained on crit stuff?
Those are really strong. That's
for Fractured Crown, 1000 mana Glacier. I like that.
I think that's the proper way of playing Glacier. And that build's great. It does great amounts of damage. It's just Glacier is great all around. It's got good AoE. It feels worth the mana cost. It has ways of restoring mana. It has plenty of damage in its tree. It's just the reason why I'm going to put it right before Fireball and right after Spell EQ is just because of the fact that it's essentially a melee skill right now. And you don't want to be standing near things when you're killing them.
So it's
But-
got a little bit more range. Man, it
Yeah.
feels like range is really going to play a big part in this, huh?
Oh, it is.
Okay,
It
okay.
is. I think it's better just because of the fact that you're on a mage and not a primalist. And you can like get other stuff like Flame Ward and all that, and it makes up for the fact that you're in melee range. But
Flame Ward's
that's
pretty
just
good.
my opinion. That's actually one of the biggest problems with the spell EQ is you essentially lose 100% uptime on aspect of the board. You have to use a different skill. You can't just use.
Oh, that's a
spell
good
EQ.
point.
Yeah.
It's a spell, so you don't get aspect of the boar as easily. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great observation.
So it's like you're squishier than the normal primalist build essentially. But Glacier's in that good spot where I would play Glacier. I've been messing around with medium explosion Glacier and Spell Rate. There's a lot of ways of playing Glacier.
I want to choose a skill that isn't an S or an A tier, and I'm having a hard time finding one.
Actually, if you want, Mike was playing Volcanic Orb on stream earlier. So
let's do Volcanic Orb.
I feel bad, but
do we have Mike in chat? Where do we put Volcanic Orb these
Mike,
days?
where do we put Volcanic Orb? What's
How
your
is
opinion?
I've seen people use Volcanic Orb in order to apply ailments. It seems better at doing that than it is at like applying damage. I don't know. Is it good?
So there's a trend in Last Epoch, at least in Last Epoch's design, that we talk about a lot. And that is the design philosophy behind a point dump. So if you look at a skill and you can dump like 7 points in a skill, that would essentially be like 3 points in a skill and a different skill like Earthquake. It essentially usually means that skill is very bad.
It also means that skill is very old because that is an old design philosophy. It's funny. I was actually listening to the dev stream before this, and it came up in conversation. Like that is not a thing that EHG wants to do anymore. So when you see it, like when you look at Volcanic Orb, you're like, wow, it's 0 out of 9. I can put 9 points into this one node. That tells you that it's an old skill and it's going to be reworked at some point.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put it in D tier for now. It's just
D for now, and like, man, not even worth playing
because it's gonna be respect. It's gonna be rework, so there's kind of just no point.
I think it's better than D tier though.
You sure? Like I think.
It does a lot of damage. It does.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but damage isn't the only thing ever in this world, man.
It's got piercing projectiles. It's got good coverage. It's got good single target damage.
The problem with Volcanic Orb is like every single time you want something with it, you have to chop your arm off. That's the problem.
I kind of want to play a Volcanic Orb build that uses Urzels for the chest piece and gets like 40 or 50 mana regeneration per second. I would like to try that out and just like see if having that much mana regen would make Volcanic Orb feel better. Because it might. I would try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's leave it.
We can put it there. It's fine.
Let's put it in C tier.
And maybe
we'll put it in C tier. We might
change
change it at some point. How about that?
Maybe Red City Sphere will fix it. Who knows?
All right. How about? I'm looking for skills that aren't an auto S tier because I feel like a lot of these skills are S tier. How about this one? How do you feel about this skill right here?
Disintegrate.
Disintegrate.
I'm gonna be honest. We could talk about it, but the problem is like it's literally in D tier unless we're talking about the bug, and I don't think the bug is worth talking about.
Oh, so I don't think that's a bug though, is it?
No, it is. It's unintentional.
The gambler's fallacy thing is unintentional.
Yes, it just hasn't
really.
fixed.
So in case people don't know, there's basically one Disintegrate build, and it's the one that you're thinking of if you played the game for a while. It's using Ignivar's Head, which gives you more damage based on your critical strike chance, and then it uses Gambler's Fallacy, which sets numerically your critical strike chance to 100%. So then every increased crit or increased spell crit that you get on top of that is working with 100% base. So you get like 1,500% more damage out of using this combination of items.
Yeah, and that is definitely not on purpose because it would suck in general if that was on purpose because that's the only way to play Disintegrate currently because if you play it without that, it deals no damage.
It really doesn't do anything. It feels like it's coded in the game. Like not coded in the game.
It's a very old skill. It's just a very old skill.
It is. All right, let's do both. So with the bug, with the thing that we described, where does it belong?
I would still say D tier.
D tier, really?
Yeah, because you're channeling and you're standing still.
What channeling, sir? Channeling gives you armor while channeling, and it gives you stun mitigation. Channeling's not that bad.
I guess.
Ooh.
I guess, but like I don't know. It's just not. I'll be honest. I legitimately don't care about the bug. Like I think the bug is stupid. I think it's like, well, not bug, unintentional interaction bug, whatever you want to call it. I really don't care. I don't think that a skill should be balanced around that.
So with the bug, you think D tier. Without the bug, listen, there's a reason nobody plays Disintegrate.
Yeah, there's a reason. There's a reason.
There's one build and it's, I don't know. It's sure.
It's a fun thing you can get away with.
All right, speaking of fun things that you can get away with, how about, is there a good transition for this topic? What about static? Static is kind of a fun thing you can get away with.
Yeah, static used to just be really bad. So what happened was it got a buff/fix. So it used to give you 1% more damage per charge on static. It used to give you 1% more damage, and you trigger it, and you static, and you deal damage. Right. The problem is that was apparently bugged and was giving you nothing, or it was giving you increased damage. I can't remember exactly. It was a long time ago, but they fixed it and they buffed it to 4% more damage per static charge, which you can get a lot of that, and it actually does damage. You can legitimately play it and mess around with it. It has a lot of other problems, but it is playable. It is definitely playable. Now, I have not played a full static build. I've played the unintentional version with Spellblade, quote unquote. Perry, you know that version. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we shot about that version.
So let's see. Do you want to talk about the unintended interaction with Surge, where Surge can cast static without the cooldown, without mana cost?
I'm going to talk about that one because that's my protest.
All right, I will happily join you. Solidarity. Okay. Here's the thing. The unintentional build using Surge that bypasses the cooldown and the mana cost of static that lets you juice up the mana cost as much as you want. That build, Mike played it on stream during the dev stream, and he had a big smile on his face the whole time. He was having fun. He was talking about how cool it is, and it's like, hey, baby, maybe it's not a bug after all. Put it in the game. So, where does this build belong?
See, right above Volcanogore.
Above Volcanic. Wow, you think it's there?
Yeah. It's better than Volcanogore in my. It does damage.
Ooh, I don't know. I think that build's really good.
No, I think it is too. It's just you're a Spellblade. But
you get Flame Ward though.
Well, yeah, but the problem is the hoops you gotta run through to get the max charge. You gotta get the crit thing. You gotta get like the idols. Like it's a fun build. Don't get me wrong. It does a lot of damage, but.
You think it's worse than Spell, Totem, Upheaval, Shatter?
That's mainly because of the Werebear version. The Werebear version's cracked on that, by the way. If you want to know. The Werebear version, because the strength stacking on Upheaval, it is insane.
The Werebear Upheaval thing, is that good?
It is very good, yes. Essentially, imagine if you're playing EQ Werebear, but you had no cooldown on your EQ, and you were able to run Bastion. It is disgusting. Nobody knows.
I kind of want to play this build.
Nobody watched that video, but it's whatever.
Hey, somebody DM me on Discord real quick. Remind me to play Spell Upheaval as a Werebear. What the heck?
It's because the strength stacking and it gets like 200% added damage or 300%.
Okay.
It's disgusting. But
I'm listening.
I would put it right. Yeah, I would put it right below Spell Upheaval. I guess. I think that's a good place.
I feel like Upheaval is your pocket pick.
Yeah.
Like we had Shield Rush in like A tier last time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got Upheaval that's randomly okay.
I think Upheaval feels great, so I think right below it. You got a lot of stuff you got to like fuck with static to make it work, and I think that keeps it from being amazing. You know what I mean? Because like you gotta maintain the static charges, and it's really annoying to do so because ever since they nerfed the idle slots, you can't run 4 1x4s anymore. Remember? So like you can't just run automatic static all the time.
I wonder how many builds we're going to talk about here that are bugged. I don't know. All right.
I mean, hey, sigils. Let's talk about sigils.
You want to talk
Why
about
not?
sigils? Let's do sigils.
Yeah,
We can do sigils.
we're talking about bugs. Why
Okay,
not?
all the bugged builds.
Yeah, let's continue.
Okay, for sigils, we are not talking about utility. We're not talking about block effect and block chance. We're talking about DPS sigils.
So there is a node inside sigils that allows you to quote unquote delete your sigils. It limits you to one sigil of hope, but then allows you to delete it. It's called Divine Flare. That's what the build is called. And essentially, it will chain to nearby enemies. It will cost mana per chain. It deals a bunch of damage. Now, the problem is each chain is supposed to hit individual enemies, and it is not supposed to hit the same target. But currently, it definitely hits all the same target. And it is nuts. So, yeah. But
so I was playing
essentially.
I was using sigils in a build recently. I did like a bleed Writhe build, and without the exploding sigils, like with normal sigils, my build was about 1 million bleed DPS, like bleed ticks on the dummy, not DPS but bleed ticks. And with exploding sigils, I was 1.5 mil bleed ticks. Yep, so like, is it worth it? Like, do you need that much damage? Would you rather have the sigils as defense? Like, you probably do, but
doesn't it give you a bunch
I was so much damage.
Well?
It was really cool.
Yeah, sigils Divine Flare is good. If they fix the bug, it would still be good. It just wouldn't deal that much single target. You'd have to use, something like Smite, like normal people.
So let's disregard the opportunity cost of not being able to use normal sigils.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So we're gonna disregard that. Go ahead.
So chain sigils of hope, I would say solidly in C tier. It is a fun thing to do.
Better than Volcanogore?
Yeah. Especially with the bug. Especially with the bug.
I'm not even sure if it is better than Volcanogore.
With the bug, yes. Without the bug, probably not.
All right, we'll leave it right there. That's fine. It is cool though. Like I wish that kind of thing were more supported. I wish it like worked better, but
I wish
it's fine.
I really want to play it. I really want to mess with it, but I'm gonna wait till it gets fixed.
It costs so much mana. Like holy crap.
But that's fine because what you do is you play Smite Devotion Self-Cast and you like essentially delete your mana for your Devotion Smite. Then you run Smite with mana cost gain, right? And you boop 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 sigil, boop 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 sigil, boop boop boop. Like it would feel so good, but then sigil hits multiple times on a single target and does way more damage than your Smite ever would, and then you get sad.
Huh. All right. Maybe I'll try that build out too. I'm less sure about that. I'd rather try out the spell upheaval thing than that one.
Well, yeah.
But let's see. You want to pick a skill? Want to pick something?
Yeah, I'd love one after you picking them all. No, I'm joking. I'm talking about Maelstrom. I'm hyped about Maelstrom. I
love Maelstrom.
So we're not going to be talking about it from a utility standpoint. We're going to be talking about it from damage. We know Maelstrom has good utility, but from a damage standpoint, it used to be D tier. It used to be terrible. It used to be absolutely terrible. But
so in terms of like best DPS build, are we talking about Cold Dot Werebear or are we talking about casting it on a totem?
Oh, both of them, to be honest, they're both as good. They're both just as good.
What do you think?
So Maelstrom, it used to not have a lot of damage. It used to not have the unleash node, quote unquote. So there's a node on it now that says Lagon Slumber that allows you to get a bunch of casts really quickly. And that has improved its quality of life significantly while clearing monoliths and stuff, especially for the self-cast version for like when you're in human form. If it wasn't for that, it would still feel terrible. Because for Maelstrom to work, it's kind of like Blade Vortex, where you need to get a bunch of stacks, and of course it costs a bunch of mana. And that's a problem, but thanks to Lagon Slumber, it made it into something good. And of course, they buffed the base damage on Maelstrom as well. They also buffed a bunch of the nodes inside Maelstrom to actually give it more damage. It has went from 0 to hero very quickly. I would definitely put it in solid B tier, right above Upheaval.
I like it. I'm fine with that. I was gonna say like maybe like high B tier, low A tier.
It carries the Cold Dot Werebear build. And it can be its own build outside. It is the only good shaman build, by the way. The only reason to play a shaman is self-cast Maelstrom because of the minus mana cost on totem and all that. I could explain that later. You saw the build, remember? You saw the build, remember what I was playing? And yeah, it is definitely the perfect example of what I would expect a fair skill to be like.
I like it. Okay. I personally, when I think of Maelstrom, I feel like the missed opportunity has been described to me so many times. So Flintler, if you're out there, I always think about, what if we could cast Maelstrom on our Summon Sabertooth and benefit from the Summon Sabertooth deals more cold damage? What if, man? What if? Think of the possibilities. Okay, we'll leave this in B tier. That's fine. All right, how about, let's go for something else. Well, let's see, we kind of did a cold skill. Let's do another cold skill. What about Ice Barrage? Where is this thing going?
Ice Barrage. Oh my god, I could talk about this for years.
I guess, do you want to, is it Doom? Are we talking about Frostbite?
No,
Crit? What are you talking about?
Crit Ice Barrage. Now, there are
not
two
Frostbite,
variants
okay,
currently.
okay.
Well, you could do Frostbite, but I'm going to talk about Crit because that's what I know about the most. So Crit Ice Barrage used to be literally D tier. It was by far one of, if not one of, the worst skills in the game. Very close to Tempest Strike, because all of the more damage nodes inside of it used to be increased damage. And it dealt probably the least amount of DPS in the entire game. But it was fixed. They turned all the nodes into more damage, and all of a sudden, it's absolutely amazing. Now, there are two versions. There's the single target version, where you use it as extra hits on a single target to apply your shred. You get more damage. Like, you just shoot out pew, 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 pew.
Oh, is that like more damage, or more global cold damage? The nodes in the far left?
Yeah, you use that.
Okay, gotcha.
Use the more damage. Like,
no, I don't want that. We're talking about damage skills.
Well, yeah, but you usually use that in the single target version. Like, pew, 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 pew. But it's just really strong because the fact that it has so many modifiers, like, it can deal really good single target with the pew 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 version, with the fire rate against rares and bosses and all that.
I hear you.
Now, of course, there's the pew 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 version, and then there's the big chunk ballista version.
I like the chunk. Give me some chunky.
So how the chunk one works, essentially what it does is it makes it so you only shoot like 5 projectiles in a cone, but it only shoots like 3 times, but each of those projectiles hit like an absolute truck.
And each of them travels like 5 screens away from you, so you never actually see monsters.
Yeah, and it is an amazing skill for clearing. It pierces, it auto targets, it like big chunk Ice Barrage is like one of my favorite builds in the entire game, probably like second or third.
The last time that I talked about Ice Barrage on stream, we actually just stopped playing it because it was so boring, because you never see the monsters. Like I like, it's an action RPG, but I kind of want to fight things, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very satisfying to use a big mana cost spell and have it do something. Ice Barrage is the perfect example of a spell skill that costs a lot, but also does a lot. Like, it does what it is marketed for, and I think it goes right before Glacier.
Before Glacier, after Glacier?
It is definitely A tier.
Better than Glacier. Okay.
Version is good. Its clear version is good. The only thing that even brings Ice Barrage back is the fact you can't play the clear version and the single target version at the same time. Ice Barrage would be a wonderful skill if you could have 2 different specializations. You could use it both at once, and it would be amazing.
Back when Lightning Blast was something that you could use for clear speed as well, I would tell people, like, my favorite build in the game doesn't exist. Like, I want to spec Lightning Blast for single target and then a second Lightning Blast for AoE. Like, that would have been my favorite skill in the game.
The only thing that is holding Ice Barrage back is the fact that turning Lightning Blast into cold damage for a single target makes it poo.
Agreed.
It's
Big
absolute
agree.
Garbage.
So we mentioned Lightning Blast again, and like Lightning Blast kind of reminds me of like Arc and like Enki's Arc Witch, like the big build guide from Path of Exile. Let's talk about Body Swap. Let's talk about Transplant real quick.
Ooh,
Transplant was one of the first couple skills in last Epoch that really drew me in, because it was like, man, like what about Transplant? Like it's like Body Swap.
Yeah.
If Body Swap were the best skill in the game, like Body Swap is so good, or Transplant's so good.
So if we talk about Transplant or Acolyte skills, is the first one we're talking about. We need to talk about how Lich is balanced. Now, Lich is currently balanced where its utility skills like Death Seal and Reaper Form are absolute pog tier, amazing strong. Right?
I'm gonna drag Death Seal up in S tier.
Yeah, we don't even have to have a conversation about that. That's not even a thing. Like I'm talking about the Death Wave for Death Seal, but it's still up there.
It's still up there. Yeah, I know.
It's still up there. Now the problem with Acolyte is its spell skills are really bad. Like just as a concept, they're bad. Like they're gimped on purpose because the utility skill of Death Seal is so strong. So every single time there's been a meta where an Acolyte skill has been strong, like a spell skill, you know what gets nerfed first? Guess what gets nerfed first, Perry?
Is it Death Seal?
No, the spell skill.
Oh,
Death Seal never gets nerfed. Well, I mean, other than the Death Wave part, but that's a different discussion. But and Transplant is one of the only skills in Acolyte's spell skill list that is like good on its own without Death Seal. Without
it's weird when I use Transplant as a damage skill. I don't have any more multipliers. Like it hits 7 times, and it has a kill threshold on it. But I don't use it for anything else. It just hits 7 times. That's it.
Now, there's a few reasons for that. First, it's really good with ailments, obviously. Second, it was really good with Bone Curse, obviously. And every single extra explosion is a more damage multiplier, right? It essentially is one, right?
It has like a separate chance to crit. It can apply more AOE. Armor shred. Yeah, it's huge.
And bone armor, yeah, but we're not talking about utility. We're not talking about the utility arborist. We're just talking about as a damage skill because we have a whole stream planned for utility spells.
Like Transplant has more multipliers in it, but you never take them.
Well, yeah, you don't need them because it just hits
you deal so much damage already.
Yeah. Transplant just does everything. And
all right, where's Transplant going? Is it A tier or what?
I'm putting it S tier right after Death Seal.
All right, so I dragged up Death Seal in the middle of the conversation. You want to put it up here? I'm totally okay with putting it up here.
No, put it right after Death Seal. Yeah.
I think the one downside of Transplant is like it's a melee skill because you're Goomba stomping on top of an enemy, but like you've killed everything already. Your Death Seal is currently pulsing to kill any stragglers. And like you have all the defense from Death Seal.
Let's talk about Death Seal, Death Wave. So when we talk about Death Seal here, we're not talking about the utility. We're not talking about
so Death Seal, Death Wave, and we have to mention Marina's.
Yeah,
Marina's wand because that gives you more damned on yourself, which like scales the more multiplier on Death Seal.
Yeah, even after all of its nerfs, the Death Wave,
it's huge. It's so much.
It's still good, and it has good AOE. It is a good skill. It has that downtime. Doesn't matter. Still really good. Still deserves its spot. Still
love it. How about is there another Lich skill as long as we're here? Oh man, I guess if we're as long as we're talking about a lot of damage, can we talk about a skill that literally does infinite damage?
Go ahead.
How about Infernal Shade? Literally infinite damage.
About the bugged version.
Literally infinite damage.
We're not gonna talk about the.
You don't want to talk about the bug?
That's unfair.
It one shots bosses. It's so good.
It's so unfair.
It's really strong.
It's so unfair. We're not gonna talk about the bug, but you can explain it.
Just real quick, you can have 63 invisible infernal shades sitting on the ground on top of each other, and they stack damage infinitely over time. So if you got like half an hour to mess around with, go one shot something. All right. So anyways, what about normal Infernal Shade? What about the kind of Infernal Shade that you put in your Ignite Hungering Souls build?
I'm going to say it's just in C tier. It just has mediocre damage, mediocre AoE. The only good thing about it is it works just like Spirit Plague, where it jumps to enemy. And the only reason I was able to make it work on that Lich build was because of how strong Hungering Souls is. We'll talk about that in a bit.
All right, I'm fine with Infernal Shade and C tier. Like it's been a meme skill for a very long time, and like you exploring the skill brought it up slightly, just a tiny little bit.
There is the uniques that there's the unique gloves. I haven't messed with them, but it has the potential.
Oh, you mean the set gloves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It has potential to be really good and make Infernal Shade go from 0 to hero. It's a really annoying build to set up, and it's just annoying. And you have to play it on Necromancer too.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking about Infernal Shade by itself, it is definitely C tier. It's better than Volcanogore, in my opinion.
How you think better than Volcanogore?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I actually have fun playing Infernal Shade. Thank you very much.
You know what? For you, I'll do it. Let's talk about Hungering Souls. We mentioned Hungering Souls a second ago. I know we just mentioned the Ignite version. I want to talk about the crit version. What do you want to do?
I mean, both of them are good.
I think the crit version is nuts.
We're going to talk about the single soul version, okay?
Yeah, single soul, Hungering Soul, primarily proc off of Death Seal, but also manually cast periodically.
Whatever you want to do with it, to be honest, in that regard.
I want to put it like...
It has some of the highest more damage modifiers in the game, especially if you're playing Ignite. It is absolutely
I want to put it like here.
I don't think it deserves to be there because the AoE, it's primarily a single target skill. I would put it right.
But so is Lightning Blast. Lightning Blast is primarily single target.
But Lightning Blast also does like more damage than it.
I don't know, man. Hungering Souls is so big.
I know it's very big. I think it deserves to be up there. I think it deserves to be right before like Death Seal, in between Transplant and Death Seal. It's just that good. The problem is like all of the skills up there are so strong. It's not like
they're all insane skills.
It's just
like you have this skill in your build, like you're probably doing just well. Like good job.
I would just put it solidly at the top of A tier, just because of the fact. Like
I'm gonna put it. I gotta leave it in S tier.
Mm-hmm. I guess at the bottom of S tier, because all those skills I'm looking at, I'll be honest, it's hard to make these kind of decisions because it's just up to semantics. And also, so I think Transplant as a skill for clear and damage is better than Hungering Souls because it does both, while Hungering Souls only does one.
But you're doing both at the same time. I love Lich.
But we're talking about them individually.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So how about?
I would put it right at the end.
You want to put it here?
Put it above Death's Wave. Death Wave is ridiculous. Yeah.
So right you like where it is right now.
Yeah, that is completely fine.
Okay, I like that too.
No.
We got Hungering Souls.
See that?
All right. So man, we got a few more skills. We got like maybe 15-ish skills left to go.
Yeah.
How about you pick one? What do you think?
We could talk about Abyssal Echoes before shoot.
Let's lump some skills together. We can do Abyssal Echoes.
Let's talk about Abyssal Echoes.
So Abyssal Echoes, stacking vitality, taking the like nodes in the top right, where like it echoes 5 times.
We're talking about the dot popper where you put it on the ground and you pop dots.
Yeah. Like you hit the monster like once every second, right?
You put like 15 on the same boss and it deletes itself.
It's
you can
Is it S tier?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's really good.
I would put it above Fireball at least.
Yeah.
At the very least, like I think it's a really good arena skill.
I think it's a better arena skill than. So listen, okay, so we got to talk about Devouring Orb. Yeah, everybody loves Devouring Orb. What version of Devouring? Are we talking about lizards?
Talking about crit Devouring Orb.
Are we talking about lizards Devouring Orb?
I mean, we could talk about both. They're kind of the same build. It's just crit Devouring Orb, just different flavors.
So ever since Devouring Orb got like nerfed, reworked, a lot of the more damage multipliers are in the orbiting ball itself, or like if you can make it explode, which is what Lizard's version of Devouring Orb is. Or you can like have the Abyssal Orbs, which kind of like shoot out and home around. And those Abyssal Orbs don't have any more multipliers on them. But like Devouring Orb has so much damage on it because it has very high base and it scales 2 flat damage per vitality, just like Abyssal Echoes does. Like
You can get a lot of
I'm
you can get a
okay
lot of
putting it in S
vitality.
tier. Like it's
I think it is. I think it's worse than Abyssal Echoes, but it's definitely up there. I think,
crazy. Like
yeah, I think that is a good spot for it. I like that because it's definitely better than Fireball. I like that
it's
spot.
definitely better than Fireball. Like man, we got remember the melee skills? Remember how we had 3 melee skills that were S tier, and now we've got like half of them here.
Melee range, Perry. Also,
Good
a lot of
Lord.
them dealt no damage.
All right, listen. How about let's knock some more skills out. We
let's
see.
talk about
Void
Ice
Knight,
Thorns.
Void Knight. Is
That's
there like
an
another
easy
Sentinel
one.
skill we can talk about?
Sentinel? Let's talk about Void Cleave.
Oh, you don't have it in here.
Ravaging Aura. Oh, I gave you the new one. Oh no,
Oh, I didn't. I didn't
okay.
grab it in
You know
time.
what? Ravaging Aura C tier. All right, let's move on.
All right, Ravaging Aura C tier. Got it. Ravaging Aura is the sub skill of Void Cleave. I like it a lot, but yeah, I mean it's melee.
Let's talk about Smite. Snoka said Smite. Let's talk about Smite.
All right, where's Smite belong?
I would say it belongs right above Fireball.
I agree with you.
I think every version of it deserves to be right above Fireball, except for the self-cast version, but whatever.
No, Smite's great. So Smite, I think Smite Devotion is the best build that we're going to talk about.
I mean, Void Knight, I think, is just as strong, but that's just my opinion.
Do you mean Hammered in still or what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So like Smite product off of Hammers is what we're talking about. I love the Devotion version. I think it's like totally cracked, but sure, we can talk about the Void Knight as well.
They have like, their different flavors and different reasons to play.
I mean, I'd rather play Smite than Fireball.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. In the future, the Smite lightning nodes on the top right will convert to Void, so that you can like continue scaling them with Void damage. Currently, that's not the case, which is really a hindrance for the Void Knight version of this.
Oh yeah,
but like the Devotion Amulet is what puts it over the edge.
You see, you have so many hammers that it doesn't. Well, the thing is, you turn it to Void, and then it scales off of Vitality, and then that meets like the Devotion version. That's what
it's so big, man. The Vitality scaling's not. Why is it 2 flat damage per 1 Vitality?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Lord, it's so
Maybe
good.
they plan on making all the other stuff as good. Like, my question is, how come it gives 2 spell flat fired? How come it gives 2 spell flat void on Vitality, but when it's attunement, it doesn't give. It only gives like healing effect and stuff.
No, it gives 4% increased damage, sir.
Whatever. Okay.
All right. There's one. I want to keep going with like a good pace here. There's one other Sentinel skill that we got to. Oh, man, there's 2. There's 2 other Sentinel skills we got to talk about. Let's drag this one up real quick. Let's talk about Javelin. So we're specifically talking about Holy Trail, elemental damage over time, Javelin.
That you're gonna hate me. It's all the way at the top.
You better than Static Orb?
All the way at the top, baby. All the way at the top. I don't care. It's all the way at the top.
It's really good.
Monoliths, damage, survivability. The only thing it lacks is clear, but even then, if you play the Void Knight version, who gives a crap? It is one of the best skills in the entire game.
It's really good.
Deserves it 100% deserves to be up there.
Does it deserve its own tier?
I mean, yeah, we
like the Javelin tier. It doesn't feel like the rest of the game, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's
so
honest,
good.
And it's funny because this is one of the ones that nobody knows about apparently, or if they know about it, icky playstyle.
All right, listen. Like when the last times, multiple times that I've played Holy Trail Javelin, those have been my fastest level 100s. Yeah, it's insane how fast.
We can explain what I was talking about the other day. Remember when we had that conversation? And I was like, Javelin is like the best explanation of the difference between Last Epoch endgame and like Path of Exile.
Oh, yeah. We had that conversation. We said that Path of Exile players don't like Javelin because they don't understand the objective rush meta in Last Epoch.
Yeah, because like with Javelin, you don't need to kill everything. You just need to kill a certain amount of things. And when it does that, it's great. But if you have to kill everything, it's terrible. But since you only have to kill a certain amount of things in every map.
If you were playing Holy Trail Javelin in Path of Exile, it'd be like B tier.
It'd be garbage.
Yeah, like you wouldn't play it. You wouldn't play this skill.
Yeah.
All right. How about I want something else that clears that well. How about Spirit Plague? How about this skill? Oh, wait.
Spirit Plague.
I messed up. All right. We'll do a different skill next, but Spirit Plague now.
My problem is we can't have everything be up there. I would put it above Smite.
So the problem with Spirit Plague is that it's like donkey tier single
target.
Yeah.
But it has the best, like one of the best clears in the entire game.
It does. What's the best version of Spirit Plague? Are we talking about the intelligence stacking, necrotic damage over time?
Yep.
Like the spell damage version? Okay.
Yep.
And that poison version used to be good, not quite anymore.
Well, yeah. Because
I want to go above Smite.
Yeah, above Smite.
I would put it below Smite. I don't know.
My problem is like we can't put everything up there. That would be unfair.
God, just compare this tier list so far to what our melee tier list was looking like.
Yeah, I think that's a good explanation of why melee is worse right now.
Oof. Okay. Speaking of melee, let's do the last Sentinel skill. Let's grab Judgment. So we're talking about Judgment, elemental damage over time, the spell damage aura thing. You can leave it on the ground. You can have the aura follow you.
And all your mana, deal a gabillion more damage.
So you want to talk about the bugged version or what?
No, we're not about the bug version.
I like the bugged version.
Get out of here with the bug version stuff.
The bugged version's really good. Stack attack speed.
The problem is even the non-bricked version is good. That's the thing.
All right, so the non-bricked version of Judgment, you're using a bat. It's kind of like a super tanky version of Javelin.
Like 1 second. Continue, Perry.
All right, so is it S tier? I don't think I've ever played a normal spell Judgment build.
B, it's above Maelstrom. The problem is it's a melee skill. Now, the thing is, it's really good. It's really good at one thing. Like it is one of the best builds for what I'm about to say. It is one of the best dungeon farmers in the game. And that is for a few reasons.
Like first, dungeon farmer, like boss killer, like any boss?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's because of the healing and the uptime and the damage. And of course, it's on a paladin, so that helps a lot too. Now, it's a little sketchy on T4 Jirla.
Okay.
It's a little sketchy, but it still does its job as long as you're smart with it. It does plenty of damage. It can face sinker. And the healing makes it so you don't instantly die to the beam. So even if you fuck up, you have some time to, unfuck it up. And then T4 Soulfire Bastion, you just laugh in his face. It's hilarious. And then, now, this is a special thing. It is one of the best builds to farm T4 Arboreal Dungeon. Because now in the Arboreal Dungeon, you are not attacking things, you're not leeching from them in the first phase, right? Judgment just heals
sure,
you.
okay. I follow.
If you get hit by the entangling roots, you don't instantly die. Okay, and that makes it probably the best dungeon farmer in the game. And the thing is, like, the AoE on it, not even a problem, because the Jirla hallways, they're small. The hallways in Soulfire Bastion, it's small. It's a really tanky build. There's a lot of damage.
Like you're using a Bastion. Like even if you don't have a Bastion, you could use like
a shield. It doesn't
like a Raya shield. You can use Iron Glass shield, sure.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do. Now, the problem with it is it has no clear. The problem is, though, in the dungeons, you don't. The thing is, though, in the dungeons, you don't care. You don't care. You just care about surviving because they're stupid, right? So,
is there a spell damage over time Judgment build that doesn't use Javelin?
No, you just use
Probably
it because
not,
it gets 60% more damage.
Yeah, why not?
But but Judgment is definitely a different build than Javelin.
Oh, for sure, right.
Judgment focuses on using stuff like Warpath to get the phasing. That's when it feels really good, is like when you use the Warpath stuff and you can scale the Warpath healing on top of the Judgment healing, and you laugh even more in the face of T4 Soulfire Bastion. It's bug Judgment. Oh, shut up, Arborist, you're banned.
All right, let's move on to another skill. Let's do a skill that isn't bugged. Let's see, what's a good one?
Meteor.
What's that?
Meteor.
I do Meteor. Meteor's kind of an old skill. It's used with Fireball to give you mana back. And also it's used for... That's it.
I think it is the premier C tier skill. If you want to fuck with it, you can, but it's not good.
Is it better than DPS Sigils?
Yeah. because it's like an actual skill and you can clear with
Eh,
it.
eh.
Like
I'm happy with it there. It gives you mana.
Yeah.
It allows you to play Fireball.
Yeah.
It's like
But
perfect.
but still, in terms of the damage department, you can play a meteor only damage thing, and it's okay. It's definitely what I would call a failing versus like Ice Barrage in terms of big mana skill. Like,
Oh
if we're
yeah,
gonna
I
compare
totally
the
agree with
both
you
of
on
them,
that.
Ice Barrage does everything right while Meteor does everything wrong, but it's still strong.
Like does it feel good
It
to
has
lose
an
half my
800%
mana?
added damage effectiveness. How could you make that bad? Void Meteor used to be insanely strong, but that's a different conversation.
Are you talking about those gloves, Sacrificial Embrace?
No, it was when you could scale an insane amount of. It was the Amarathi build where you scaled the crit, the fire aura on crit stuff, and the void aura
Oh,
chest.
sure.
That
Okay,
thing.
I hear
That
ya.
thing was insanely strong, but that's just because you're abusing Meteor.
Is there like a like instead of a lightning meteor, is there like a Marina's Lost Soul, like necrotic meteor?
I mean, that sounds like an idea that you got to try next, Perry.
Shoot. Okay,
I
man.
mean, yeah.
I've got like 3 builds I'm supposed to try all of a sudden.
Good luck getting increased damage, though.
All right, you just played Wandering Spirits. And you really liked having Wandering Spirits as a primary damage source? Because you were playing it with what were you doing? You were doing like
I was doing
the channeled version and just tapping it, right?
Necrotic dot channeled Wandering Spirits.
Yeah.
Essentially, TLDR, the spirits themselves deal the damage. They hover over things. They can overlap. They deal a decent amount of damage over time, and they were decent for clear. It has such a long history. I could spend all day, and I'm not going to. Spark Notes, Poison Wandering Spirits was so strong it got nuked from the stratosphere, and it got buffed up to the point where it's playable.
So what about Wandering Spirits as a primary damage source? Like, is this thing is it better than Judgment?
No. It's good. It's decent clear, but you're standing still. But you can do the tap thing, and it's fine.
Is it better than Sigils?
I would say it's B tier. I would say it's like right under Upheaval, but above Static.
I think Static's better. There's no way it's better than Static.
Well, with the tapping version, and you can go poison Wandering Spirits with Lich and do the tapping thing, and it feels great. My version was not the best version. The best version is to go poison Lich.
Is poison still the best version of Wandering Spirits?
Yeah, because you tap the button instead now, and you just get a bunch of spirits.
Oh, you want to play channeled?
Yeah,
like
but you just
tap poison Wandering Spirits.
Mm-hmm. For clear, yeah.
And then what's your single target?
Single target?
Is just channeling it?
No, it's Transplant.
All right.
Poison's broken. Exactly, Arborist. Thank you.
Got it. All right. Poison's broken. Okay, so once poison gets nerfed, maybe we'll have a different
channel it, and it would all hit the same target. I haven't played it, but
that'd be interesting. Okay,
I know it's good.
I'll put it above Static. I'm reluctant, but I do like playing a Lich, so I'll put it above Static.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got a few more. We got like 9, 10, 9, 8, 9.
We can do like a quick round. Ice Thorns.
Okay, yeah, Ice Thorns.
D tier.
Right, so Ice Thorns is a primary source of damage, just like laughably garbage.
Going to be reworked. Very
got it. What about Tornado as a primary source of damage?
Problem. Are we talking about the Swarmblade version or the non-Swarmblade version?
We're talking about the best version. So the best version of Tornado is Frostbite Swarmblade.
100%. A tier, right? I would say below. I would say like right where Earthquake is, right below it.
Below EQ? It's really good.
Or Frostbite, Swarmblade. The problem is like that's just more of a Swarmblade thing, but we're gonna put it there. Whatever.
I saw a really convincing human form fire hat tornado, like Eye of the Storm tornado build, like using immolators to stack up extra damage. I think there's more stuff that should be explored there.
But I think definitely it deserves where it is but it's definitely one of those skills that's going to be reworked one day, so it's fine.
You think so?
Yeah,
I guess. Okay. I say that out loud, but like most of the skill tree is garbage. So yes, okay, it should be reworked. I'm with you.
The only reason it's working is because you completely ignore the mana cost with Swarmblade. So like that's the only reason it works.
I mean, the Swarmblade build is all storm orbs for ailment application. Whereas like the fire versions are like actually doing spell damage.
Yeah, you're not using the physical dot stuff, and you're not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. Like Tornado is a mess.
How about
Literally.
another skill that's a mess, and not only in terms of design, but also just like your screen? What about Avalanche?
Avalanche. Avalanche is a skill that has been lost in time. A long, long time ago, when before yield and powered monos, before the big daddy monos.
Didn't everybody used to have like their one speedrunner Avalanche build? Like everybody had that set up.
And that is because Avalanche used to do enough damage to kill the cruddy mobs. The problem is, its damage did not scale well with age, because things actually don't just instantly die now. So with any amount of damage.
If you want to have a good time, like go look at like the Javelin skill tree, go look at the Static Orb skill tree, hell, go look at the Wandering Spirit skill tree, and then go look at the Avalanche skill tree. The Avalanche skill tree is wild how bad it is. It's so bad.
And the thing is like, it wouldn't even be that bad. It's a fun skill. It's just, even if you get it to the point where it deals damage and it's fun, then the lag sets in.
Hey, listen. Every time that I see an Avalanche build, someone's like, "Oh, go check out my Avalanche build." It's like the laggiest piece of garbage. They're proccing a bunch of totems and they're blowing up the totems and they're proccing EQs, and it's like, I mean, your computer is gonna blow up before the enemy does. But like,
but can it, Pharma? Go away, Christian.
All right, let's go. Let's see. We did.
I would say C. I would say above Meteor. It's easier to make an Avalanche build than a Meteor build.
Deal. I'll take that.
I mean,
we just did another
it's a playable build. It's just not good.
We just did another Primalist skill, so let's do the last Primalist spell that we have listed. We don't have Spriggan form here, so we're not going to talk about Spirit Thorns or anything like that. But we do have Entangling Roots.
Yeah.
What do you think about spell damage, Entangling Roots? What's the best version of this? Is it the Cold Dot Bear?
It's the Cold Dot Werebear one.
Love it.
The problem with Entangling Roots is outside of that, it's garbage. But it is really good utility, so it's not like just like throw it away kind of garbage.
It deals good damage. It has good utility.
Only
it roots
if you
monsters.
have like 100 strength, that's giving you like 100 flat adaptive damage. And even then, the damage is just good enough. The only reason why the damage is good enough is because it roots things in place, so it has the time to deal said damage. Right?
Is it better than Glacier?
In terms of the Cold Dot Werebear, sure, yeah.
I mean, that's the build we're talking about, right?
Yeah, it is. It's just hard to talk about because it's the only way.
That's the only. No. We're talking about the best version of Entangling Roots. Cold Dot Werebear. The problem
is like all these other versions, all these other skills, they have other ways of playing them, even if they're worse. But this is one of those skills that it just has one way to play.
Listen, Dread, if you really want to play Doom Entangling Roots, I'll build you a planner.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
I'll build you a planner. I'll build.
All right, fine. It's in like A tier. I would say around there.
Bottom of A tier. Got it.
Amazing clear, not a single target. Amazing clear. All
right, let's do this skill. We've got a couple more left to do. How about Bone Curse? I'm curious that it's even on this list. Can you have Bone Curse as a primary source of damage?
It helps. It does a lot of damage. Arbors can attest to that. So essentially, Bone Curse is like the seasoning you put on your sandwich. It is like the reason why Transplant does so much damage, like crit Transplant.
Yeah, but we talked about Death Seal, and we said we're talking about Death Seal, like the pulse, right?
That's Bone Curse's identity, though. That's the thing. Like, that's what it does.
I don't think Bone Curse even belongs in this conversation.
No, I think it does because it does a lot of damage.
All right,
it's the main reason.
Assuming that it belongs in the conversation, where would you put it?
Crit Lich. I would put it like probably put it B tier, right above Judgement.
Above Judgement?
It is the thing that makes Crit Lich function and actually work.
I can tell you, like, when you Bone Curse an enemy and you pop Death Seal and you Transplant on top of the enemy, it does infinite damage.
Yeah, it is
so much damage.
Yeah, and it's like, it does enough damage that I thought I'd put it on this list because that's its utility, is doing extra damage.
I don't think it belongs on the list, but fine. I'm not going to fight you on it.
Yeah.
All right, we have
Sigils on the list.
We have DPS sigils, sir.
Yeah, like to be fair, we have DPS sigils.
No, sigils explode and they deal damage. Like Bone Curse.
But Bone Curse explodes too. It has the explode.
Yeah.
Remember in the tree.
All right, listen. We have 5 skills left, and they're all of the same mastery. Chad, do you know what mastery they are? We have 5 skills left, and they're all the same mastery.
Acolyte. Oh god.
Thanks, Chad. Thanks, Dread.
Oh god.
All right. How about let's do this one first. How about Drain Life?
Oh, Drain Life. It used to cost 0 mana when it did that. It was great. It was S tier,
so like Drain Life with the dam nodes. Are we talking about the channel version or the non-channeled?
Non-channeled. The
non-channel. Okay, sucks. With the nodes across the top, I agree with you.
Yeah, the channel version sucks. I think it's solidly in like B tier. You use it for extra single target on necrotic.lich.
Is it better than your upheaval thing that you're in love with?
No. Lich uses it not because it wants to, but because it has to.
You know what? I actually agree with you. If there was something else to use, I would use that instead.
Mm-hmm.
Is it better than Wandering Spirits? Is it primary damage source?
Well, I mean, I guess just a single target damage, but are we talking about poison Wandering Spirits? No. If we're talking about necrotic, yes.
I'm okay putting it above static. I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a usable skill. It's just more of a you have to use it kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's like
I gotta tell you, I feel like static is too low here. I think static's really good, but
I think like if they just made Drain Life skill with int like Spirit Plague, it'd be great.
Like +1 flat damage per intelligence. That'd be cool. Amazing. I could see that.
Well, just as a base instead of its percentage, it would just work. It would be great.
How about this skill here? How about Rip Blood?
Rip Blood? Oh, fuck, that's hard. It does damage. It does enough damage. It's essentially a procer for a Bone Curse. So it does damage, and it's
spoiler. We're gonna talk about Marrow Shards next, and there's kind of a point in time that I want to mention here. There was a Marrow Shards tournament, so it was like one of those Vision GL weekend races that they hosted, and Marrow Shards was one of the required skills for it. And Lizard, Mau X, and me, we all had the same reactions. Like, we started playing Marrow Shards, and we were like, holy crap, this thing does so much damage. It kind of fills the same slot as Rip Blood does, where it's like, here's the skill that you can use in between transplants while it's on cooldown, and you can use it for like single target and something. But like, Rip Blood's there because you can proc it off of transplant. It's there for like a tiny bit of sustain. It gives you tons of cast speed. And it has, like, it hits twice. It applies ailments really, really well. But Rip Blood's job is not to deal damage. Like, I think Rip Blood's like pretty bad in the grand scheme of things. Like maybe B tier, maybe. But like Marrow Shards, whether you're playing the Bone Splinter version that Lizard's in love with, or just like a normal Marrow Shards, like not using the sub skill, it deals so much damage. Like, I think this thing's really good.
Yeah, I think it is too.
All right, where do you want to put Rip Blood then?
Rip Blood?
Like Rip Blood for damage? I think the best Rip Blood damage build is probably an ailment build, like poison or bleed.
All of it, to be honest, it all works. It's just Rip Blood. I think it goes hand in hand with Bone Curse. I think it's there where Bone Curse is.
I'm gonna put it.
I think it's above Bone Curse.
I'll put it above Bone
hand
Curse.
In hand. They kind of work together in tandem. You know what I mean? Like,
what about Marrow Shards? I think Marrow Shards is really good.
Oh, I think it's great. Yeah, I think it deserves A tier at least. It just does a bunch of damage.
Is it?
It's just really awkward. No, awkward.
You don't think so?
Awkward to use.
It is definitely awkward to use for sure. So like I would say that like the best version is doing the Bone Splinter thing and like keeping your cursor in front of your character the whole time so that it splinters as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But better than Smite?
No, I think Smite's more usable with like the hammer throw. I think it's definitely.
I mean, the Smite thing has like way more quality of life.
Yeah, like if we're talking about arena, then like Marrow Shards win, but like I'm talking about the entire game, not just
Sure.
Arena, because
The
more
entire
than 5
game, okay.
people play Monolith. That's the thing.
The 5 people on Arena. It's too bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Now you continue.
All right. I'm gonna put this skill next. This is not my favorite skill, but I think it's like a crowd favorite. Like everybody else loves it. What about you casting Sacrifice on your minions?
Casting Sacrifice? Oh, Sacrifice?
Sacrifice.
Used to be one of the best skills in the game, but I haven't played it recently. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't played it since all the nerfs, all the changes, all that. I know that they fixed the bug where you can actually use it at range now. I think it does an absolute butt ton of damage. It has the same problem that Avalanche has, where like, haha, have fun having frames, but it's definitely up there with like Fireball and Earthquake and stuff. It's definitely up there. It does damage, has AoE. It's just a little laggy, so you just don't play it. But it does the damage.
Is it better than Swarmblade Frostbite?
I would say it's around there.
Around there?
It's around there. Yeah.
Plus or minus?
Like, it's good. It's just I haven't played it recently, so not a lot of people have because it's bugged, it's old, but it's really strong, and just everyone got tired of it because everyone kept playing it. Because
I'll put it around here. I think it probably. I don't think it's S tier, but like I think it's better than Judgment. I think it's better than Maelstrom.
It's one of the only things that I haven't played in a long time, so
maybe I'll drag it up like above Earthquake.
Yeah. This is like no, well, I guess it's no, yeah. It's like yeah, I like that. Yeah.
You like that?
Fireball's definitely better than it.
Comfy.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So here's the last skill on the list, and we're almost at an hour and a half. So I think we're gonna wrap it up right after this. The last skill on the list, I put as the last because first of all, it's not a bug, but it does give you infinite armor to make you super tanky.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I've seen other people play this skill, this Soul Feast here. It doesn't have
damage.
What?
It definitely doesn't have damage.
It does enough damage, and it scales well. And man, so I played a build somewhat recently. I played like a Hungering Souls for single target, and then Soul Feast for AoE, and I loved it. I thought it was an incredible build, and like I liked Soul Feast. I liked cursing enemies and then popping the curse with Soul Feast a lot more than I thought it was going to. Like I've got a pretty good opinion of this skill.
The problem with Soul Feast is it got nerfed a long time ago and no one has really tried it or played it. That's what really surprised me that time when I saw that video of him deleting T4 Soulfire Shade with Soulfire Bastion. So I'm gonna be honest, it's unexplored territory at this point.
Unexplored territory. Let's see, where would I put it then? So I played this skill. So the Necrotic Hungering Souls, Necrotic Soul Feast, using a Marina's Wand, that's currently the build that I think I'm going to play when multiplayer comes out. Even if they fix or nerf or remove the infinite armor thing, I think it's still just like an absurd build. I think it's really good. So that's where I stand on it. I wonder where I would put it. Maybe better than Fireball? Maybe like under Spirit Plague?
Yeah.
I think I'd probably put it somewhere around there.
Yeah, I need to play it again. How's the mana? It used to be terrible.
I'd have to check my video. I think I built mana regeneration. I think I got up to like 20 mana regen or something. But
I haven't played it in forever. I'm going to feign ignorance of. I'm gonna let you put it where.
All right, I'm gonna put it right there. It's got less clear speed than Spirit Plague does.
It's another one of those skills where I have no idea.
Well, it's another one of those skills that's like, Reaper Form, Death Seal. You're playing a Lich. You get to use Hungering Souls. All of your skills are procced at the same time. Like, it's hard to go wrong. But I think it belongs right around there. Like, you couldn't have it as single target. I don't think you want to do Soul Feast. God, I say that out loud. But Soul Feast is good for single target.
Yeah, I need
the cone
to play
version
it.
is.
I really need to play it again.
Man, what a skill! Is it S tier?
The cone version
is Soul Feast S tier?
No, it has mana problems. I think the mana problems are always going to keep it there.
I'll keep it there. Okay,
it's definitely better than Fireball. I'll tell you that much. But
is it better than Holy Trail Javelin?
No, what are you talking about?
God, what a dumb skill. Oh, it
I
just
know, right?
it's so good.
I think if we're going to scale it properly, let's ignore the armor part.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's ignore that part. And if we're ignoring that part, it definitely does fit where you put it.
Yeah. Man. And this took a little bit longer than the melee stuff. Looking at the outline, looking at like the curvature of this list compared to the melee list.
It's a lot more healthy, I'll tell you that much.
I mean, like, there's a lot of S tier skills. It's kind of hard to go wrong with the spell, isn't it?
That just means that it's balanced. You know, it's funny I say that.
Like, at least there's a curve. Like, that's nice.
Yeah, I'd rather have a curve than a, you know, like a pyramid.
If there were like an S plus tier, would it only be Javelin, or would it be Javelin plus Static Orb?
Javelin plus Static Orb?
Yeah, how many skills would be in S plus?
An S plus?
Yeah.
Javelin, Static Orb, Lightning Blast, Ellie Nova, and that's it. Yeah.
You think those 4 are S plus?
What do you mean being so high up the list is wild to you, Harbors? Have you played Ellie Holy Trail Javelin?
It's really good.
It's one of the best builds in the game. It's just the problem is
so absurd.
The problem is it's not what people are used to. That's the
Isn't it ZDPS? Holy moly. All right. So I'm going to end the podcast.
Wait. Arborist is used to builds that deal 99 million DPS. Okay?
Apparently I need to go play Holy Trail Javelin.
Like this 600k is ZDPS, okay, to be fair. So that's the problem here. I'm going to bring that up. Arborist is a bug abusing monster.
He's the kind of person who only plays 50 mil plus builds. Yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah, he plays the bug stuff or the unintended stuff, okay? So when he says that, he's memeing, in my opinion.
All right. I think I like where this list sorted out. So it's funny, like the spell upheaval stuff is kind of weird, like the wandering spirits, like the poison stuff, like where's Death Seal fall in all of this? Because it kind of skews everything upward. This build was harder to make, this tier list was harder to make than the melee stuff. But I love how many skills are in S and A as opposed to the melee tier list. The melee tier list had 3 skills in S tier, and we've got 9 skills. It's like, holy moly.
You can get it back to that point, Treshin, if you try hard enough, by the way. It's like It's not like as if you couldn't get it back to that point.
So I think I've said all I want to say. Dread, is there anything you want to say for closing thoughts for this this spell tier list here?
I think that spells are in a much more healthy spot than melee skills are.
Is it spells being in a healthy spot, or is it ranged things being in a healthy spot?
I think standing still is terrible, and I think being ranged makes up for the fact that you're standing still. And a lot of these skills you're seeing are skills that allow you to either do a bunch of damage and then move, and you deal so much damage that you don't have to worry about losing a little bit of DPS here and there, or it just does damage while moving, like Death Seal, or Transplant, or Echoes. Like,
I hear you.
The problem is, I think standing still in Last Epoch is the quickest way to die ever, and if you just stand still, like, have fun.
We had one question pop up in chat, just like, where's Thorn Totem? Thorn Totem's scales on minion damage, so it's a minion
skill. We'll do a minion one eventually.
I think we have to combine some of them. We'll see. I don't know. Like, are there enough minions to talk about?
Well, the thing is, I think it's okay to talk about. Like, my thing is, we can talk about less skills because that means we can talk about them in more length.
Oh, that's true.
Like here we had to like shove everything up up there. You know what I mean? Because we couldn't talk about it because there's that many. There's just that many.
All right, let's cut it off there. We're just about an hour and a half, perfect length for a podcast. If you're joining us on your drive to work, thank you so much for listening. If you're here in Twitch chat, if you're watching on YouTube later on, thank you for participating on this. Always like to hear the opinions, both of people here live and then the comment section later on, to see whether you agree with what we've got or whether you got some different opinions. It's always fun to chat about these kinds of things. So we're waiting for multiplayer to come out. Maybe November. Maybe I'm on the Hopium train. I think it's gonna be November, but maybe somebody else can get a guess or bet against me. with that.
Totem Pop go? That's not a spell skill. That's a minion.
It's a minion skill. It deals minion
damage. We do have
damage.
Totem Pop though. It's upheaval. It's up there.
Different Totem Pop. We're talking about the real Totem Pop.
I like how there's 2 of them now.
All right, that's it. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. If you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, make sure to let us know where you're listening to this podcast so we can make your experience in listening to this and consuming this as easy as possible. So thanks for being here. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.